Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone on our Tuesday evening Bhagavad Gita discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome everyone. So today we will be entering into chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Last session we finished chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 6 is titled as Dhyana Yoga, or it's also called Atam Sanyam Yoga, where Lord Krishna primarily spoke about the Ashtanga Yoga process. And then based on Arjuna's question, Lord Krishna answered how to control the mind and also what is the destination of an unsuccessful yogi. So the last verse of chapter 6 is kind of conclusive verse where Lord Krishna says, yes, one should try to be a yogi, and among all the yogi, who is the greatest of all? Okay, so there Lord Krishna, he introduced the concept of bhakti yoga. Yogi nam api sarvesham mat gatenantaratmanah shraddha bhana bhajate yo mam samayukta tamo matah. So, and of all the yogis, one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So there, Lord Krishna established that among all the yoga system, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, then Dhyana Yoga, among all these, ultimately one need to come to the stage of Bhakti Yoga. Without introducing the element of Bhakti Yoga, all other yoga system cannot attain the full success. And that's why if we see the whole structure of Bhagavad Gita, total 18 chapters, the division is first 6 chapter, Lord Krishna is speaking about the process of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Okay, and also 6th chapter was Ashtanga Yoga. And then the last 6th chapter again talk about primarily Jnana Yoga, with the 3 modes of material nature, the enjoyer, the enjoyed, the Prakriti, and the division of faith. So all that is Jnana Yoga. The middle 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they focus on Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so it's like the first 6 chapters are the top bread of the burger or of the sandwich. The last 6 chapters are the bottom surface or the bottom bread of the sandwich, and in the middle you have some butter or some jam. So those are the 6 middle chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So middle 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna focuses on primarily Bhakti Yoga. So introducing the last verse of 6th chapter, Lord Krishna introduced Bhakti Yoga, that among all the yogis, Bhakti Yogi is topmost. one who is intimately united with me in yoga, always remembering me and rendering loving service to me. Now, moving to chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Bhakti Yoga, but how to practice Bhakti Yoga, how to understand God better. So, let's first discuss the overall flow of 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, the chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita is titled as the knowledge of the Absolute. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So not just theoretical knowledge, but the realized knowledge. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. And from bird's eye view, if we see the overall flow, we will use the acronym HEAD. Okay, HEAD, head. So first three verses, Lord Krishna focuses on the principle of hearing. Shrunu. So first three verses, Lord Krishna establishes hearing is very important. If you want to understand God, hearing. Okay, so first is H. Then text 4 to 12, Lord Krishna will explain where to find God, right? So one may say, okay, you are talking about God, but where is God? So the next section, Lord Krishna describes God is everywhere, everywhere. You can see, you can feel the presence of God everywhere through all the various elements of this material nature. Okay, water, fire, air, ether, all are representation of God. The taste of water, the smell of earth, all reminds us of God. So God can be perceived everywhere. Then 13 to 19, the next section is A, accept or reject. Even after understanding God, then one may question that, okay, if God is there, God is present everywhere, then why not everybody believe in existence of God? So then there the question come, accept or reject. It's one's individual free will that they want to accept God or they want to reject God. And then Krishna explains the four type of people who approach God and the four type of people who never approach God. Then moving forward, text 20 to 30, Lord Krishna speaks about D as Devi devatas, the demigods. So that is the overall flow of this chapter 7. Remember it with acronym HEAD, HEAD. Hearing, everywhere, accept or reject, and then demigods, Devi devatas. So if we see, the overall theme of this chapter is, does God exist? If yes, where to find God? And why not everybody believe in him? And who really God is? All there are there many gods? Is there monotheism or polytheism? Okay, so because Krishna is going to explain about this concept of Devi Devatas, what are the difference between the Supreme Lord and the Devi Devatas? What is the result of worshipping the Supreme Lord or result of worshipping the Devi Devatas? So that is the overall theme. Does God exist? If yes, why not everybody believes in God? Who really is God? Are there many gods or one God? So the first starting point, Krishna is going to speak about the importance of hearing. Okay, so for every activity we do, whether you want to plan your holiday, you want to plan your career, going to particular university, or planning for your birthday party, anniversary party, it all requires some sort of analyzing, some sort of research. Okay. Yes, we try to utilize our what we call as gut feeling, but simultaneously we utilize our intelligence and we practice some sort of discrimination. And the same applies for spirituality also. It's not simply a sentimental impulse. It requires intelligent research and information gathering from the reliable source. Okay, so that is very important, from a reliable source. It's not that I want to know about God and I can just search in Google, who is God? It can throw me any sort of answers. So in doing search in Google also requires some sort of intelligence, right? To search for the right keywords, the right phrase, so that you can get that some meaningful answer. So For spirituality also, yes, we have to do some research, we have to do some information gathering, but from a reliable source. And Einstein once stated that religion without philosophy is simply sentiment. And in more acute situation, it becomes fanaticism. And same way, Srila Prabhupada, he said, philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So religion without philosophy is sentiment or fanaticism. At the same time, philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So in this chapter, chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, titled as The Knowledge of the Absolute, now Krishna delineates certain philosophical truths to install confidence and conviction in this process of bhakti yoga. So that's why Krishna starts with importance of hearing. So first three verses, because even in the modern philosophy, the modern thinkers, they often stress on proving everything based on empirically. Okay, so proving everything empirically and rejecting anything which cannot be directly perceived by our senses. So the theory is, if you can touch, if you can taste, if you can see, if you can smell, if you can hear, then I believe in that. Yeah, otherwise, I don't believe. While it may seem logical and rational approach, but it also has its limitations. So how do you understand those things beyond your immediate perception? Okay, so that's why accepting a higher authority is very much needed. It opens up the new opportunities to experience the truth directly. So Krishna begins this chapter by stressing the necessity of hearing from the bona fide source to understand the universal realities. So that process of knowledge is known as the descending path of knowledge. Whereas in the modern thinking, in our scientific world, we believe in the process of ascending knowledge, right? We want to go up, 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 up to acquire knowledge. Whereas to receive spiritual knowledge, the process is descending knowledge. It's coming from top, from the Supreme Lord Krishna, down through the medium of Guru Parampara. So that is the path of descending knowledge. So importance of hearing. Then 4 to 12, as I said, Krishna establishes that God is everywhere. So by hearing from the authorized spiritual sources, one can acquire profound knowledge, okay, about the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? How I can perceive the Supreme Lord? And in answer to the common challenge, sometimes people say, can you show me God? Okay, where is God? Have you seen God? So Krishna cites many examples how to see God everywhere. And Krishna uses a very beautiful analogy of as the pearls are strung on a thread. So the pearls are perfectly strung and arranged in a necklace, while the thread remains completely invisible. So similarly, God is designing this creation, He is maintaining this creation. So entire creation, entire universe depends on the Supreme Lord, but the Lord remains invisible to the immature observer. So all this extreme intricacy, the sophistication in this creation, the immature observer may not understand. But the sophistication in this creation naturally indicates the presence of a higher intelligence. So Krishna, he establishes that yes, God can be perceived everywhere. And further, he explains how he is the essence of everything within this creation. He is the taste of water, the light of the sun, the ability in the man. So, in this way, through the eyes of knowledge, one can learn to see God everywhere. And then moving forward, text 13 to 19, Krishna explains it's individual choice to accept or reject God. If God can be perceived everywhere and his existence is so strikingly obvious, right, through this creation, the sophistication in this creation, then the question comes, why is still not everywhere believing in God? Why there is a wholesale denial of the existence of God? So Krishna, he explains that every individual has its free will. They are free to fly their own plane and decide where to repose their faith. And Krishna talks about four type of people who reject God due to their preoccupation in the worldly life, and there are four type of people who accept God, and that too also have different degrees. Some accept God for their own need and desires and wants, and some accept God just for the purpose of serving God. And in conclusion, Krishna says it's a rare soul in this world who is able to approach God, who is free from all the ulterior motives. And then text 20 to 30, Krishna talks about the concept of Devi devatas. Practically speaking, even a mere acceptance of God is significant achievement in this age, right? Somebody just believing in existence of God, that's also a significant achievement. And this acceptance, however, is not enough. Okay, one must gain an accurate knowledge about the details and intricacies of the process. It is, after all, a matter of life and death. So, similarly, to simply believe in God is not enough. One must understand his nature, his personality. So, for that purpose, Krishna establishes the monotheism and distinguishes between the Devi Devatas and the Supreme Lord. That the Devi Devatas, they are also powerful entities. They are in charge of the universal affair, and but they are in no way, in no shape or form, they are equal to God. Okay, so if somebody has this misconception that everybody, all these Devi Devatas, they are all equal, they are all are same Supreme Lord, so that is a very dangerous misconception which need to be driven away. So Krishna explains that concept also. So now moving into text 1 of chapter 7, let's read the verse and then briefly discuss. And as I mentioned, because we are going over kind of as a Bhakti Shastri study, so we'll not go too much detail into each verse, quoting so many different references from Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and here and there. Our main purpose here is to understand the overall flow with some basic understanding of these different verses of Bhagavad Gita. So text 1, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha मय्यासक्तमना पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रया असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा ज्ञास्यसि तत् शृणुः. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." Okay, so this is a very important verse. As I said, Krishna is establishing the importance of hearing. Okay, first of all, it starts with Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. It's not spoken by any ordinary person. So it is established that Lord Krishna himself, he is the Supreme Lord, he is speaking this. And the flow within text 1, if we say, there are many important words used here. Shrunu, Gyasasi, Samagram, then Asamshayam, Ashraya, Yogam Yunjan, and Asaktamanaha. So if we say Shrunu, Shrunu is a direct call for hearing. By hearing, one will be able to attain liberation. So the process of hearing, again, is a descending method. So how to acquire knowledge, we discussed, right? How to acquire knowledge, there are many processes of how to acquire knowledge. One can acquire knowledge through sense perception, which is called Pratyaksha Praman. what can we see, what we can hear, what we can taste, what we can smell. So through our senses, but that is limited because we cannot see in the dark, we cannot see beyond the wall. Our hearing frequency is also limited. We can hear things only within certain frequency. So there is a limitation to this method of sense perception, pratyaksha praman. Then the second method is anuman praman, with logical argument, inference. People try to understand, people try to come to certain conclusions. So that is also not foolproof because one can lead to a wrong conclusion. Then the third method is Shabd Praman, hearing from authority. So if we receive the knowledge from the right authority, that is the best method to acquire knowledge. And who can that authority be? What is the test of authority? So the test of authority is it does not change with the finding of new proofs. Right? The scientific theories, they keep changing. They discover some newer things, and these theories keep changing. Revision 1 and revision 2 and version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these theories change. But the real authority is which does not change with the finding of new proofs, like the scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. For all these thousands and thousands of years, all these are the same shlokas. Okay, no shlokas has been added or subtracted. One may give their own different commentaries, purports to it, but the real shlokas and their meaning does not change. So the authority does not change with the finding of new proofs. It has stood the test of time. It has never been proven wrong. So the words of the scriptures, the Vedas, it has never been proven wrong, and it has stood the test of time. So hearing from authority, first point Krishna says is Shunu. And from where do we need to hear? We need to hear from Krishna or the representatives of Krishna. So Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita, that is direct words of Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada, he wrote the commentary on this Bhagavad Gita verses, explaining in detail for us. So reading from Srila Prabhupada's commentary, that is also hearing from the representative of Krishna. So hear from Krishna or the representative of Krishna. And sometimes people say, what is the difference in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay. So Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Upadesh and Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna Katha. Hearing both are important. Hearing Krishna Upadesh and hearing Krishna Katha both are important. So hearing shows us the path, and hearing in itself is also the path. Why? Because hearing is one of the process of Navda Bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So hearing is the path also, and hearing shows us the path. So what happens when we hear? So Krishna says, when one keeps hearing, Shunu, then one will know Krishna properly. Gyasasi samagram. So by hearing continuously, we know more about Krishna. And when we know more about Krishna, what happens? The doubts will be removed. Asamshaya. So all the sanshaya will be removed and you become free from the doubts. And then when the doubts are removed, when the misconceptions are removed, then what happens? Then we will take shelter, ashraya. And once we take shelter of Krishna and this process of hearing, then what happens? Then yogam yunjan. We get connected with Krishna. So we wholeheartedly start practicing. And then when we wholeheartedly start practicing, what happens next? Then the mind will be attached to Krishna. Asakta manaha. So that is the flow in text 1 itself. Hearing will lead to proper knowledge of Krishna, which will remove all the doubts, which will help us to take better shelter, which will help us to connect better with Krishna wholeheartedly, to start practicing. And then we will develop more and more attachment to Krishna. Asakta manaha. So generally, attachment is considered in a negative connotation, right? Attachment is wrong. Attachment to anything material, attachment with material world and material object is wrong. But shifting that attachment from material to spiritual, that is desired. So we need to turn our attachment from the material objects to the spiritual. So developing attachment for Krishna, for Krishna Katha, for devotees of Krishna, that is what is needed. And Krishna is present in the heart of all the living beings. When somebody want to move towards Krishna, Krishna help purify the heart. Like the analogy of the doctor cures the patient. Same way, when we take shelter of this process with wholeheartedly, then Krishna also purifies the heart. And Prabhupada in the purport, Prabhupada quotes some verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Shanvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayanto histho abhadrani vidunoti suhrat satam. So when we continuously hear Shanvatam Swakataha Krishna, when we hear about Krishna, which is so enlivening, which is so pure, so auspicious, all the impurities in the heart, they are removed. Krishna removes all those impurities. Vidhunoti Suhrat Satam. And then another verse which is recited when we read Bhagavatam, it says, Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtiki. So Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu, all the abhadra, all the impurities, all the anarthas in the heart, they are removed by constantly reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. By serving Srimad Bhagavatam regular basis, all the impurities, all the anarthas are removed. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. And bhakti becomes fixed. So that is the importance of hearing. And then text 2, further Krishna speaks about the importance of hearing, that one should come to the level of jnana vijnana. By this knowledge, one acquires not just theoretical knowledge, but the practical realized knowledge also. So text 7.2, Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshatah yat gyatva neha bhuyo anajyah gyatavyam avashishyate. So I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So here, very importantly, Krishna says, I will give you the knowledge which is jnana as well as vijnana. The knowledge of the phenomenal world as well as the numinous knowledge and the source of both of them. So theoretical knowledge and realized knowledge. Okay, the realized knowledge means the knowledge which leads to realization. So theoretical knowledge is kind of understanding the greatness of God, right? That is Gyan. So theoretically one can understand, yes, God is great. He is the creator of everything. He is the maintainer of everything. He is omnipresent. He is omnipotent. So understanding the greatness of God, that is Jnana. And then Vijnana means when we develop a particular sambandha with the Lord, when we develop a particular rasa, understanding the sweetness of God. Okay, somebody developing that or experiencing that Sakhya rasa, somebody experiencing that Dasya rasa. So experiencing a particular rasa and in that rasa experiencing the sweetness of God. That is Vijnana. So understanding both Jnana and Vijnana. And then Krishna also want to explain that above mentioned knowledge, which Krishna is saying that what is the criteria to understand that? Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna because Arjuna is a devotee of Krishna and also as a friend. So it establishes the principle, who can understand this knowledge? So who can explain the knowledge? Who can understand the knowledge and how to understand? So three elements are involved. Who can explain? Krishna or Krishna's representative. Who can understand? The devotee of the Lord. So Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna, who has no envious towards Krishna, and he is a devotee, he is friend. So that is the criteria to understand this knowledge that one should be submissive. That's why in fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna already mentioned tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. One should approach a bona fide representative, render service to them, and inquire submissively. Okay, so who can understand? One who is submissive, who approach a bona fide representative. And how to understand? How to understand is by attentive hearing. Shrunu. Okay. And another thing which Krishna mentions in this verse is after knowing this, there is nothing else is left to be known. So this is the complete knowledge Krishna is saying, I'm going to give you. So comparison with if we see in Christian theology, in Bible, Jesus Christ says there is so much more to tell you, but you do not have the capacity to bear it. So whatever Jesus Christ spoke to his follower was not the complete knowledge. It was spoken only based on the time, place, circumstances, and based on the ability of people to understand that. Whereas here, when Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, Krishna is saying, I'm going to give you the complete knowledge. After knowing this, there is nothing more left for you to understand. So, knowledge is imparted as per the time, place, circumstance, and also as per the ability of people to understand that knowledge. Okay, in ninth chapter, also, Krishna is going to say that this is the most confidential knowledge. And one may question if this is the most confidential knowledge, what is confidential about it? Because it's openly available to everybody. Anybody can read Bhagavad Gita and get that knowledge. How is this confidential? Confidential is because who has the capacity to understand? It's not that we can understand it by our own endeavor. Krishna can hide himself completely. Okay? Krishna can block himself. Just like if you are standing on the red light signal, okay, and on that red light maybe some beggar, they may walk to you, or some other street vendor may walk to you, they want to sell something or they want to just beg something, and it is your desire, you may just put the window glass up, right? You don't want to entertain them. So same way, even though somebody may try to read Bhagavad Gita on their own, but if they don't have that submissive attitude, Krishna blocks, Krishna does not reveal himself. That's the meaning of being confidential knowledge. So it's even though it's openly available to everybody, but it's an open secret. So here, text 7.2, Krishna is saying, I'm going to explain everything in complete. Jnana Vijnana Sahitam. Knowing that nothing else to be known. There is nothing more left to be known. And then text 3, now Krishna focuses on the rarity of acquiring this knowledge. How rare is this knowledge? So text 3 is very important verse and very often quoted verse also. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhai yatataamapi siddhanam kaschit mam veti tatvatah. So out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhai. So out of many thousand, one may try to understand Krishna, one may try to achieve perfection. And of all these thousands of such people who are trying to understand Krishna, hardly one knows me in truth. Okay, so here the focus is on the rarity of acquiring this knowledge, because Krishna is saying here, acquire this knowledge, and most people, if we see in this world, they are caught up in the basic four activities: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, mathunam cha. So most people are just caught up in these activities even after getting the human form of life. They are not trying to fulfill the purpose of human life. Okay, in Mahabharata it says, Dharmena hina pashubhi samana. Somebody who is not utilizing the human life for its purpose, which is dharma, then they are just wasting their human life and living like animals. So most people are caught up in these activities. And then some people who are practicing religion also, they are also practicing religion just for material purpose. Artha, Kam, right? They practice dharma to acquire artha, and they want to get artha, the monetary benefit, so that they can fulfill their desires, kama. And some people who may be religious, they may approach different Devi devatas, they may approach different karma kanda system, again, just for all material benefit. Okay, somebody may pray to Lord Shiva that, oh, give me good wife. A girl may pray to Parvati Devi, give me good husband. So it's not wrong to pray for getting these material benefits. It is not wrong to pray for a good wife or a good husband. But most people, they just get stuck at this point, right? It's not wrong to ask for material needs, but people are just stuck at that point only. They don't think beyond that. What is the purpose of practicing religion? What is the purpose of practicing different this worships, different pujas? See, in Sanskrit term, there is a word called dharam patni. Dharma patni means patni is for dharma. Patni is for helping in executing dharma. But if we start thinking dharma is for getting patni, then it's a complete distortion. Okay. So the ultimate bottom line point, what I'm trying to say is either people are just stuck in eating, sleeping, mating, defending those basic activities. Somebody who is practicing religion also, they are practicing religion for material gain, not going beyond that. So here, that's why Krishna is establishing the rarity of this process here. Manushyanam sahasreshu, because there are mostly people are materialist. Among all such materialist people, there may be one who may try to know Krishna, who may try to attain perfection. Kashit yatati. Okay, so there are some very few transcendentalists who are trying to move on the path of transcendence. And among those also, Kashit Veti, Kashit Mam Veti. Very few will know me. So it's establishing the devotees that among all these different transcendentalists also, there will be few who really come to the process of bhakti yoga, who process devotion. They can understand Krishna in essence. Because even among those who strive for liberation, very few know Krishna in truth. Because there are so many different concepts available in the market. Oh, there is impersonal concept. God is just some energy. God is light. You are God. I am God. You can become God after practicing some austerity. Everybody can become God. So there are so many different hodgepodge conceptions are there. Even somebody when try to practice transcendence. So that's why Krishna says, among all such transcendentalists also who try to understand me, rarely one know me in truth. So Krishna is kind of pointing to Arjuna, saying very few people know me. Just like the breaking news, everybody want to know first so they can tell others. But understanding Krishna is not just like some breaking news. Mayavadi, they try to create some divisions among the different yoga systems, saying bhakti yoga is for sentiment people, karma is for hardworking class of people, ashtanga yoga is for somebody who want to perform austerities, and jnana yoga is for intellectual class of people. And most people think, oh, I'm very intelligent, I'm intellectual class, so maybe I should do jnana yoga. And Srila Prabhupada argues that okay, if somebody claims that bhakti yoga is for sentimental class of people, bhakti yoga is very easy path, then why don't you choose easy path? Why will somebody try to choose a difficult path? For example, climbing on mountain, everybody will try to find out the easy path, how I can reach the top of the mountain in the easiest possible way. So if bhakti yoga is claimed to be easy, then why not take that easy path? First of all, bhakti yoga is simple. In reality, it's not easy. It is simple. It's very straightforward. Okay, so somebody who claims bhakti yoga is very easy, we give open challenge. Okay, then why don't you come and practice bhakti yoga? Somebody who doesn't want to follow any rules and regulation, they just want to follow their own whims and practice something. For them, yes, maybe bhakti, this that so-called bhakti may be easy. But if somebody want to follow the proper rules and regulations of the shastras, of the spiritual authority, then bhakti yoga also is not as easy. Yes, it is very straightforward. It is simple. Just follow the authority and practice certain things. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami explains, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatre Vidhim Vina एकांतिकी हरेर भक्तिर उत्पादित एव kalpate. So devotional service of the Lord, which ignores the authorized Vedic literature like the Upanishads, the Puranas, the Narad Pancharatra, that is simply an unnecessary disturbance in the society. So many people, they take up to this sahijya process, right? Sahijyas are somebody, they just follow whatever they want to do. So that type of bhakti, if somebody want to follow, it may seem to be very easy. But if somebody really practices bhakti based on following the rules and regulations of the Shastra, it's really not easy. Getting up early in the morning, taking shower, then worshipping the Lord, practicing your sadhana, following the rules and regulation of cooking in a proper mood, offering it to the Lord, maintaining that cleanliness standards and all that. So really, if we see, yes, it is very simple and straightforward, but it's not really easy. So here, that's why Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye, yatatam api siddhanam kaschit mam veti tatvataha. Among all these practicing transcendentalists, very few know me in truth. And then text 4 onwards, now Krishna explains how to perceive God everywhere. Okay? So the topic basically, Krishna is answering, does God exist? And if God does exist, then how to perceive the presence of God? So text 4 to 6, let's read these 3 verses and then we will briefly discuss. So text 4, Krishna says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirev cha ahankarityam me bhinnah prakartir ashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, then mind, intelligence, false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So Krishna is saying that whatever we see in this world, all these 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and on top of that, so these 5 elements are the gross elements. Then there are 3 subtle elements. Subtle elements are mind, intelligence, false ego. So all these 8 together are Krishna's energies. So Krishna and Krishna's energies both are together. So one need to understand both in that way. And what does it mean as separated energies? Separated energies means, just taking the example of milk, let's say, the milk comes from cow, but it does not mean wherever milk is present, cow also is there. Right? So even though milk is coming from cow, but cow may not be seen at that scene where milk is available. So same way, all these different elements which we see, they ultimately come from the Supreme Lord, even though we may not be visibly able to see the Supreme Lord through our senses. Another example is somebody can, let's say, record this talk and play it somewhere else. So it does not mean that I am also present there. So it means that is my separated energy. So here Krishna is saying all these different elements are my separated energies. And if everything is coming from God, If God is all good, then why there is so much evil? Then people ask this question, okay, if everything, God created everything, did God create evil? Okay, if God is all good, why there is something bad in this world? Why do bad things happen? So Prabhupada had a very kind of a unique way of answering this question. Sometimes Prabhupada will answer just to jolt people out of their comfort. Okay, once one lady asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, if God is good, why there is so much evil in this world, Swamiji? And Prabhupada said, you are so beautiful. Why your stool is ugly? Because it is your separated energy. So one may come from the same source, but if it is separated from it, then it may transform into ugly substance also. So here, when we understand these material elements, we don't just have to separately look at the material elements, we have to look at the spirit also, and the controller of both the matter and spirit. In material science, they focus on understanding these 10 objects, the 5 elements and 5 sense object. Okay, so mainly the science, material science focuses on the gross matter. So the 5 elements, the ether, then the next one air, then fire, then water, then earth, right? So it goes from subtler to grosser. So ether, from ether to air, air to fire, fire to water, water to earth. And then the 5 sense objects, the sound, touch, form, taste, fragrance. So again, in the sequence connected with those 5 elements. So the material science focuses on these gross elements only, gross matter. But whereas in spiritual knowledge, we focus on doing MSc. Generally, people do MSc, right? MSc of computer science or MSc of chemistry, biology, or something. So here, MSc of spiritual knowledge. What this MSc is, we want to study these 3 categories of elements together: material, spirit, and the controller of both. So MSc, material, spirit, and the controller of both. Or in other terminology, we call it Jagat, Jeev, Jagdish. So Jagat is the gross elements, what is visibly present in front of us. Then Jeev is the spirit, the living entity, the soul. And Jagdish is the controller of both. So Jagat, Jeev, Jagdish. So MSc, material, spirit, and the controller of both. So text 7.4, Krishna talk about these material elements and the subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Then text number 5, Krishna talk about the another energy of Krishna, which is superior to all this. So Krishna says, Apreyam itastu anyam prakartim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedham dharyet jagat yayedham dharyet jagat. So this another separated energy is which is trying to exploit the resources of this material inferior nature. So Krishna says, beside these, there is another superior energy of mind. What that energy is? Jiva Bhutam. So that comprises of the living entity, the spirit soul, which is trying to exploit the resources of this material inferior nature. So the another energy, the ninth element, becomes then the spirit soul. So there is apara prakriti, there is para prakriti. Apara prakriti refers to the inferior energy. Para prakriti refers to the superior energy. So because living entity is here, that's why this world is maintained. For example, so Krishna has created this material world, but for whose purpose this material world is created? For the living entity. And this material world is created or and maintained for the purpose of the living entity. For example, the prison house is maintained for the prisoners. Okay, but we cannot say the prison house is maintained by the prisoner, right? So prison house is meant for the prisoner, and somebody else is maintaining that prison house to keep the prisoners there. The same way, sometimes people claim, oh, that living entity is maintaining this world. Oh, we can maintain, we can control this world. But the living entity is not the maintainer or the controller of this material world. This material world is created by and maintained by somebody else for the purpose of living entity. Because the living entity is not the supreme. If the prisoners start to maintain the prison house, then why they have to be there? They can go out anytime, right? So same way this material world is created and maintained by the Supreme Lord for this energy, which is the Jiva Tattva, the living entity. And then in text 6, so we'll read one more text and then stop there for today's discussion. So text 6 is another beautiful verse here. Krishna says, I created all these beings. So all created beings have their source in these two nature. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So here Krishna establishes his supremacy, that all these energies which are created, I am the origin and the dissolution of all of this. So I am the origin and I am the cause of annihilation. Everything comes from me. Matter and spirit, that it all come from Krishna. And whatever is made of these two also has a source from Krishna. So we come from him and we are meant for his service and his pleasure. Okay, a small child may create a toy. A big man may create a big skyscraper building. But ultimately, the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul, is the cause of everything. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, the spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of this gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the super soul, Vishnu. So Krishna says, all these are my separated energies, and I am the cause of all the creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Everything has a source in me.
Oh,
So we'll stop here for today, and let's see if there is any question, comment, any discussion. Hare Krishna. Anybody?
Siddhanam, Siddha and Tattvata. Very interesting differences. So, what is the definition of Siddha? He talks about those who are trying and effort and all that and know something, but not really enough to get the realization. The Tattvata is like a Shubdev, and some of the scholars or probably some of the gurus who haven't got the realization are Siddhas. Is that the way it goes? Because Jainism uses Siddhas also very good,
So
often.
yeah, so we have to understand the definition of Siddha, first of all, right? What is the definition of Siddha? So definition of Siddha means who has exhausted his own existence and he has completely understood the Supreme Lord and completely kind of surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. So in Narad Bhakti Sutra also this definition of Siddha comes. So people generally have misconception about who is considered as a yogi, who is considered as a Siddha, who is considered as a Mahatma. Right? Generally, we say Mahatma means sometimes people just give a title of Mahatma to somebody that he is a very Mahatma, he's a great soul. But here in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about Mahatma also, who is really a Mahatma. Okay, that also comes in, I think, chapter 7 only. I think 7:19 maybe. Let me just look into that. Yeah, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanvan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So here Krishna gives the definition of Mahatma also. Right? Mahatma is not just any noble person who is doing some kind of noble task, some welfare activity for somebody, and people give them title as Mahatma. But here Krishna is saying, who is Mahatma? Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvam iti. Who understand that Vasudeva is everything. Okay, Lord Krishna is everything. He is the source of everything. He is the maintainer, creator, annihilator of everything. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That is really Mahatma. And such Mahatma is rare soul. So same way Siddha is not like somebody, some yogi who can sit in a asana, yogic posture for a long time, that oh, he's a Siddha Purusha. So Siddha also somebody who understand Krishna in Tattva, in completeness. Okay, understanding Krishna, that he is the possessor of all the opulences and there is nothing beyond Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. And in next verses, Krishna establishes that point also, that mattah paratram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. There is nothing which is superior than me. So understanding that, removing all the misconceptions that maybe there are many gods and all these Devi Devata, they are also all equal, they are all the supreme God. So when somebody removes all this misconception and understand Krishna really in Tattva, that is the meaning of being a Siddha and also Mahatma.
So it's very rare to find a person like that. And one of the interesting person I feel like is a Shukdev is a classical example.
Right. And basically, Krishna is explaining the rarity of Bhakti Yogi also, right? So there are so less people who really come to this process of Bhakti Yoga. Somebody may claim, oh, I see so many devotees are there in the temple, 100, 200 devotees there. But Krishna says, one among the 1,000 knows me. But if we really consider, even if the 100 devotees are there, but considering the overall population of Metro Detroit, this 100 from the overall population of Metro Detroit is like one among 10,000, right? So Krishna is explaining the rarity of Bhakti Yogi. Somebody really rarely come to this process of Bhakti Yoga who can try to understand Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You explained the other thing very well. I was impressed, Shravanam, to all the way how the asakti develops. That's a beautiful way. You explained it. Hare Krishna, nice to see you. I'm sorry we miss your actions for a while.
Good to see you after a long time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any other comment, question?
So Prabhu, from what you were saying, what you were saying, you know, being able to listen to Gita and then even understand it is something that is given by God, right?
Yes.
Everybody doesn't get that opportunity, first of all, to have a guru to explain it, then listen to Bhagavad Gita, and then even if those two are met, to understand it, right? So that's
right. So we have been given this opportunity by Krishna to come in contact with Bhagavad Gita through the devotees, through Srila Prabhupada books. And even when somebody come in contact, how much they can understand, that's also depends. How much Krishna slowly reveals himself. Okay, that's why we may read Bhagavad Gita first time, we may understand only some little bit. Then you read further, read more, you may understand something else more. So it's newer and newer realization sometime reading the same text. We get newer dimensions, newer understanding. So Krishna reveals himself to the extent we develop our mood of submissiveness to Krishna and his representatives. And even somebody may be illiterate. Okay, doesn't mean that he may not be able to read, but based on their level of submissiveness, Krishna may reveal himself. They may have complete understanding of Krishna even though they are illiterate. So does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. And there is that example that you always quote of the devotee, who's not very well versed.
Yes, Brahmana in Ranga Kshetra.
Correct. And because of his yearning and stuff, he's able to see it. He's able to understand.
Yes.
So that is
Not
also
only that, but Prabhuji, there is an interesting padi yoga mua pandit hua na koi dhya. Dhai acha prem ka pade so pandit hoi so. Really the asakti of God and total surrender and really believing what you hardly not faking it, but just believing it and acting on it. It doesn't need the PhD on that. I'm sorry to say, but to really know God it's a matter of character and heart and purity of the mind. And that could be achieved by anybody, like some of the bhaktas like Kabir and Meera and all that. They were not very scholar, but they were totally dedicated and they God realized souls. So you are right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, bro. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yes, Vijay Prabhu.
Prabhuji, many times it comes, people say that you have to change, I mean, in whatever path you are, like see, your basic character, everything is the same, right? Instead of saying that you have to change, you have to be original. Many people say that, okay, you have to be original self.
What is the meaning of original self? First of all, do we know what is my original self?
We don't know. We don't know. That's what we are trying
So
to
when
search.
somebody say you have to be your original self means they are talking again from the material term here. Just be yourself. You don't don't pretend to be somebody else. That's what they mean. Oh, just be your authentic self, be your original self. Don't try to fake it, right? That's what they mean. But here in spiritual line, what we have to understand is, first of all, we have to understand our original self, that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. And then what is the dharma of the spirit soul? Okay, dharma of the spirit soul is to develop my relationship with the Supreme Lord and serve the Supreme Lord. And I have to give up my false identifications. I have to give up all these anarthas which I'm carrying right now. So there is no question of being your original self here from material point of view, right? You need to give up those wrong tendencies there.
Right. You have to change yourself, many times, people keep telling you, right? So that you can attain something, a different level of thinking. They say that one problem, to solve any problem, you cannot be at the same level. You have to be at a different level to solve that kind of problem. So these all the things are, it's more material or.
Yeah, we cannot solve the problem with the same consciousness which led us to that problem.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have to change. We cannot keep with the same consciousness, same mentality. We have to change ourselves. That's why we say you have to give up your certain things, right? no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit relation. And if somebody from material point of view, somebody says just be yourself, so it means they're saying just continue whatever you have been doing, right? You have been eating meat, continue, be yourself. That is not what we propose. We say yes, you have to change, and change is the law of nature. There is only one thing which is constant in this world, and that is the change.
Change.
Everything. So change is constant. So we have to change ourselves. We have to change our ways. And it just starts with adding. So we have to start adding Krishna. And then other things slowly will be subtracted.
One context which I read yesterday also is that, in 1 year, 98% of all your cells get changed, it seems. You're a totally new, different cell, almost to the extent of 98%, whether it's your lung, heart, liver, all gets changed. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
I'm
we
not.
discussed that earlier also, I remember. We discussed this point few sessions earlier also.
Uh-huh.
So yes, science says 7 years, 100% cells have changed.
7 years. Okay.
So, but what is the point in discussing that? Why we want to discuss that? We want to understand this. Krishna is already telling 2.13, Dehino asmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara. So the soul is continuously passing within this body from boyhood to youth to old age, and then it will pass on to another body. So soul is constant. This body is changing. We had a different body when we were 3 days old, 3 months old, 3 years old, now 30 years old. So this body is constantly changing, different, but the spirit soul is the same, right? And the spirit soul is carrying that mind, intelligence, false ego, that suksham sharira. That's why you still remember some of the things when you were 3 year old, even though the whole body has changed. Who is remembering that? From where that intelligence, that memory is coming? Because the soul is equipped with that subtle body, right? The shuksham sharir, which is mind, intelligence, false ego.
So that means, your hardware is getting changed. Your software, that is, software is
Yeah.
nothing but what is programmed in your spirit soul, right?
Memory, hard disk. You can remove the hard disk from one computer and put it into a new hardware, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.